Hi everyone, it's Autumn, your writing mentor for English 102. And I just wanted to go over your next assignment with you a little bit more in depth, the Module 2 topic brainstorming that's due this Sunday. A lot of you have been already coming up with some really good ideas, and there's been some questions too, specifically on trying to narrow down your topic in terms of finding those communities that you're a part of and finding a specific problem within it. So I thought I would just go over that a little bit more and give you an example, kind of just to see where one way of kind of like approaching this, if I were to do it, is just kind of a way to illustrate how to go about this brainstorming process for this particular assignment. All right, so under the instructions, we have step 1, brainstorm the community problems. And you want to start with just making that list of all the communities that you belong to. And for this assignment, we're giving 2 definitions to communities here. So it says your place in the world, so your physical place, like a neighborhood, city, school, workplace, your discipline. And communities can also be something non-physical, more something that's identity based, something based on your individual identity, like a group or club, sexuality, gender, race, those kind of things. Can also be activities like the example given here, long distance runner, so like a sport or an art, playing music, something a little bit like a belief system or just like a practice, so vegans. And then what you want to do is kind of take that community you belong to and center it in the geographic location to make it more specific to find that community problem that you could realistically tackle through this assignment. And that's where there's been some roadblocks for some people trying to go either too broad or too narrow. So I looked at this and took a little time to go through this process too, as if I were a student, and came up with a community that I belong to and a potential issue that I could tackle. So I'll just take you through my brainstorming process to give you that example. So when I was thinking about communities, I went large first and thought about the physical place in the world community. So for a city, I live in Greenville, North Carolina. I also spend a lot of time in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. It's kind of the hometown where my mom lives. Greenville, North Carolina is also the location of my undergrad alma mater, East Carolina University. And another school that I'm a part of is Arizona State, of course. I'm an online student like you guys. And for workplace, well, I'm a writing mentor, and that makes me part of the writing studio. So I've got my physical places in the world, Greenville, Elizabeth City, North Carolina, my 2 universities, East Carolina and Arizona State, and my job as a writing mentor with ASU's writing studio. So now that I've got that bigger community, I'm going to look at the smaller communities, so my identities, and look at how these identities maybe fit in with my physical communities in the world. So one of the first identities that came to mind is I'm a book nerd, or just any regular fandom pop culture nerd. Harry Potter, Doctor Who, Lord of the Rings. That led me into kind of another identity. I love like all sorts of British media. A lot of my favorite music comes from Britain. British literature, the history, landmarks over there, so kind of anything like that. Also, I am an equestrian. I ride horses, and that happens in Elizabeth City, where my hometown is. So I don't get to ride in Greenville, but anytime I'm home in Elizabeth City, I do get to ride. That's where the riding barn is located that I started taking lessons at when I was in 5th grade. So I was thinking about that. That kind of got the wheels turning with, okay, being an equestrian is a big part of my life, has been since I was 8, 10, however old you are in 5th grade. all the way up till now, even when I'm in college and not there as much anymore, it's still something important to me. And that community is specifically located in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. And that kind of clicked with thinking about a problem that I could feasibly tackle. Being an equestrian in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, recently we've been losing a lot of our land each year, and that's due to some specific tax laws and also development. A lot more houses are being built. Elizabeth City is also a Coast Guard based town. There's more people coming in all the time, and in past years it's really gotten built up more, which has a lot of benefits to it. But Elizabeth City is located in eastern North Carolina, which is primarily agriculture, strong agriculture background. So, of course, before things were built up more, there's a lot more horse stuff going on. So, with that, that kind of led me in to step two, where you start thinking about selecting a problem based on your chosen community. So, given my physical community location of Elizabeth City and my identity community of being an equestrian, I came up with the problem of being an equestrian in Elizabeth City. We're losing more of our land each year due to those tax laws and the big increase in development. So if I were to take that, my chosen community and issue, and start looking at the questions we have here. So why did I choose that problem? Well, it's something that is really important to me and passionate about. As I said, being an equestrian is part of my identity. I'm sure a lot of you are, as you're going through communities, thinking immediately of things that kind of connect to who you are, how you identify yourself. It's something that's narrow enough that I could develop a realistic solution for. So I could, with time and research, propose a solution to an appropriate audience and maybe get something done about our land loss. So that would be my reasoning if I were looking at question one here. And then moving into question two, as writers on this, and you start thinking about what you already know about the problem, what you need to know more about it to understand it better. So what I already know is that agriculture has an important background to eastern North Carolina, where Elizabeth City and my barn is located. The barn itself is over 100 years old, so it's been in this community for quite a long time. And the lady who has owned it since long before I started taking lessons, long before I was even born, she's had it for over 50 years. So about half of its life, it's been her equestrian center. So things that I would need to know more about would be those tax laws. I do know, I won't bore you guys with the specifics of that. I don't exactly know them all myself, so that would be something I would need to look into. I just know that it makes it hard for the barn manager to be able to pay the taxes on this land each year as it gets more and more expensive. And I would need to know more about the development laws, how they decide, what land gets developed for housing, the driving forces behind it. So how much is our community growing each year? What are the reasons behind that? The Coast Guard, just that this community is growing, as all communities inevitably do. I would also want to know more about my fellow equestrians in the area. Is the same thing happening around their barns? The lady who owns our barn is a very embedded figure in our community, very big in the local equestrian community. So I know she would have a lot of connections, and they probably know her, whether they know about our situation or not. Again, chance to make more connections. That would be another place I would need to dig into to understand it better. Context, community in which the problem does occur, and why is it a problem for this community? So it's a problem for us because as we lose more land to development, that means we have less land to keep our horses on. It limits the amount of horses we can have. And it also limits our riding space. And the whole point of having horses is to ride them. We do a lot of trail riding, and each year we lose more and more of the land we can trail ride on. It makes it hard to be an equestrian. Stakeholders and the community. Again, talk to the barn manager and the people she knows, my fellow equestrians. We're stakeholders in this. The people in local government that would have more insight on taxes, people moving into the community, the developers. You know, how is this impacting all of us? That would be stuff that I would need to look into and think about when trying to resolve this problem of us trying to preserve our land. And finally, the next steps, now that I'm thinking more about these components that I need to look more into and what I already know, how will I research it in more depth? What research channels will I look into? As I said, local government, community connections, reaching out maybe, you know, to some of the development companies, those people. So just diving into that, and also seeing other parts of the country that are facing this, possibly out west. The ranches out there, Bureau of Land Management, they also deal with, you know, horses and all that. Just seeing maybe other communities have come up with solutions that I could build on. So that's just kind of how my take would be on this. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions about anything that I brought up or discussed. I just thought that maybe it would help to kind of talk through this with you guys through this short video. If you're struggling to place yourself in a community where you could realistically tackle a problem, maybe just kind of talking through that might help start jogging your brain as you work on this assignment. As I said, please reach out if you have any questions, and look forward to seeing what everybody comes up with. So good work, everyone. Keep it up. You know, you'll all come up with something really great that you'll be proud of. Thanks.